Are the LA Clippers back? Two straight wins against two teams that are actually in postseason conversations. This one, a gritty win that showcased a little bit of what we want to see from playoff Kawhi, despite concerning things from Paul George and James Harden. How were the Clippers able to get over the hump? What was the key to getting the win down the stretch? And what are the main things I saw that were completely different than our recent slumping stretch? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On. We got a 2-game winning streak. Clippers, yeah!
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in the great city of LA, and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. We're almost at the end of it. Can you believe it? You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod, or subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I will be going live on Saturday afternoon to talk about all LA sporting events of the weekend. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to let me know, are the Clippers back? And before we get going with this episode, this one is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All you got to do is go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and place your bets for any sport. The women's NCAA tournament is getting good. The men's NCAA tournament is getting good. NBA is heading towards the playoffs. MLB has begun again. NHL is heading towards the playoffs. It is a good time to be betting on anything sports, and FanDuel is the place to be. But let's talk about this game. Clippers winning it 100-97. Let's just start off with that score at Orlando, who we swept during this regular season. Now, of course, the two games coming in such different parts of the season. The first time we played them was in our fourth game of the season, when we had just traded for James Harden the day before, and he was arriving with PJ Tucker in LA that very night. And I remember him getting to the arena like right before the game. So, you know what's funny? Believe it or not, and I think I've mentioned this like once or twice before on this show, this is going to be the first season ever in my entire life of my 19-year fandom where I'm not going to miss one game. Because life has just gotten in the way of me missing. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I watched every game of the 2020 season, but that was a shortened season. So this is the first 82-game season. I'm watching the full 82 games. Life has always gone in the way. Before I was Locked On host, I always missed a game or two at least. But the Dime Dropper era has been different. Last year, I went to Qatar for the World Cup, so I missed 2 games that way. But this will be the first time. And this is apparently, the win against the Magic is the only time that, or the best team that we've swept this regular season, the Orlando Magic. So one thing I loved about this win, 197, is just, first of all, that score. 100-97. That's like a score of the 2000s or the early 2010s basketball, pre-3-point line frenzy. And you know what that's shown by? Or you know what that showcases? Defense. Real good defense being played. And the Orlando Magic are a top 5 defensive team in the league, and they've got awesome defensive personnel with Jalen Suggs, who's definitely in consideration for an all-defensive team. And then they've got Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. So their 2 best players are wings, big wings. But I also think that's part of the reason why we match up well against them, because our 2 best players are just older, more experienced big wings, and they have no semblance of a third guy. We have James Harden. If they had Russell Westbrook, he'd be their third guy, very clear cut. So, and we have him coming off the bench. Norman Powell would be their third best player, although that might be harsh considering Jalen Suggs' impact on the defensive end is very, very important. But speaking of that, the matchups were interesting to start the game. They had Suggs on Harden, Wagner on PG, Banchero on Kawhi, Wendell Carter on Zoo, and Gary Harris on Terrence Mann, which you would expect. They're switching 1 through 4, but actually they weren't switching 1 through 4. They weren't letting Gary Harris, I almost said Joe Harris, Gary Harris switch on to Harden, which I thought was interesting. We put him in the action with Terrence in the short roll, and they were conceding the Terrence short roll. They weren't switching that. And then as far as we're concerned, we had Kawhi on Banchero, PG on Franz, Harden on Gary Harris, Zoo on Wendell Carter, and Terrence on Suggs. And Wendell Carter was also in drop coverage, just like Zoo. Now, I did criticize Kawhi recently. Not really Kawhi, but mainly the coaching staff. We don't put Kawhi on good players. He guarded Tyrese Maxey to start the game on Wednesday, and he guarded Paolo Banchero on Friday night. The best players on either team. That is, I think, us starting to shape up into what's going to be postseason mentality. And that is that Kawhi, with the addition of James Harden, has to guard good players more. And that's what was one of the keys to our success in December and January. So you've seen it more in these last two games, and you're seeing it pay off. And that's just a testament to how great Kawhi is. So the reason why I love this win, it showed grit. It showed toughness. The Magic are a good defensive team. You know who's been a terrible defense since the All-Star break? Us. And we played defense for 4 quarters in this game, and that was the thing that I took away the most. We allowed only 19 in the first. We're up 23-19 after one. We did allow 31 in the second, so that was our only kind of iffy defensive quarter. We got outscored 31-29 in the second, which made it a 52-50 halftime Clipper lead. And here's the thing about this game that made it so interesting. The biggest lead was 11 by us and 5 by them, but for the most part, throughout the game, it was only separated by 6 points or so. It was very, I wouldn't say very hard to score, but it wasn't easy to score, which in today's NBA, it's so easy to score with the spacing and the rules and the skill sets of players that make it such a spread floor. The third quarter, we only allowed 27 points. We won that one 33-27. That was our best quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, we almost blew it. We got outscored 20-15. 15 points is not very good in the fourth quarter or in any quarter to score. But the fact that we only allowed 20 points in the fourth and 19 in the first, that is a huge step up from the last couple of weeks that we've been the way we've been defending. And partially it's because the Orlando Magic don't have a great offense. You know, Paolo Banchero, as great as he is, and he is a budding superstar in the league, his jump shot is still not, you know, it's improved, but it doesn't convince people. You know, we still sag off of him. You're still going to go under the screen on him. And when we were allowing him to shoot, he wasn't really damaging us that much. But when you allow him to attack closeouts or get downhill against a smaller defender, he has that Giannis in his game where he can just lower his shoulder and go into your chest and you're just flying backwards because he's an actual beast. And you saw that at Duke in that 1 year he was there. He just looked physically superior, physically and the skill he has, than everybody else. And you're seeing that on the NBA level. The dude is an absolute grown man-child. And Franz Wagner is no slouch as well. But I just love the way we defended. I thought we did a much better job in this game getting back in transition because think about it. We only scored 100 points. We did shoot 48% from the field, but we were 33% from three. We got back. You know, we missed shots, but we got back. We got back, and I thought that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard had really good defensive games. There were times where Paul George had to guard Paolo Banchero, and he stood up to the task beautifully. So I'm very proud of his defensive effort these last two games. And then Ivica Zubac doing a great job protecting the rim, contesting shots, got a couple of blocks. Actually, no, he only had one block, but he deterred a lot of shots, including discouraging Paolo Banchero late to take a shot at the rim, and he kicked it out, and James Harden did a good job of keeping his hands up and getting a steal. So this was an interesting game because the Clippers were up by 11 points at one point in the third quarter, 61-50, but the Magic responded and went on a 9-0 run. And then in the fourth quarter, it felt like we were good to go again, up 94-86. 89-86. And then the Magic went on a 13-0 run because we got super careless with the ball in the third quarter. James Harden was actually making me so nervous. I'll get into that later. And then Paul George not doing any. Actually, no, he was doing better, but defensively especially. But offensively in the third quarter, he was getting careless with the ball. Even Kawhi Leonard had one turnover in the first half that was just weird, just an overthrown pass that was fairly routine. And then Russell Westbrook had one turnover where the ball slipped out of his hands as he was throwing it up the court with his right hand. And then he failed to pick up Jalen Suggs in transition and was not talking at all on defense when we were getting back and we got scored on. And that actually infuriated me. That was one of the plays that reminded me of Lakers Russ, the clips that would go viral. Because that was like an I don't care moment. I messed up and like I'm not interested in playing defense. So that really pissed me off, even though I don't think Russ was that bad. But the fourth quarter, we got down and dirty and made some big shots. In both halves, we went with a lot of the Norman Powell 2-1-3 Zoo Harden lineup that has had our best net rating. The boys, Adam Oslin and those guys, call it the Powell Rangers lineup. That lineup has been our most successful in terms of like net rating and crunch time stuff. So we've been going a lot to that. And I have to give our players credit for just clamping down at the end and making the big plays. We've talked about Kawhi Leonard in closing this season, and a lot of times he's run out of gas. But in this game, he found that second wind, and he was able to knock down shots late. And I'm going to talk about it more in the next segment, loved our approach in the second half with him. But he hit a big shot to give us the lead. There was a time where we were just kind of matchup hunting late in that game with about 40 seconds left. He got Jalen Suggs on the switch, and he walked him down to a turnaround. And again, Suggs plays great defense. He's going to make you go to option B, C. But the way Kawhi pivoted and turned, and my main thing with Kawhi that I think hurts him in closing is when he dribbles and starts his move at the three-point line and just kind of dribbles in place and ends up taking like a tough 18-footer off-balance long 2 or 3, it always misses short. But when he's able to either catch the ball closer or get 15 feet or closer, a lot of times he will score if he doesn't have to work too hard on it. And I just didn't feel as though on that particular possession he had to work too hard to get that shot. So his legs were good. He knocked down a big shot, and then James Harden had his hands up on a pass that was going to be kicked out to him. Big time play by James Harden defensively, because I don't think he had a good defensive game at all before that last minute. I don't think he had a good game at all before that last minute. I'll talk about that more later. But PG against one of the best defenders in the NBA, Jonathan Isaac, hitting that turnaround to put us up 3. Then Franz Wagner missed. What a way to close the game and win it 100-97. But coming up, I'm going to be talking more about playoff Kawhi, because I think that's what we're starting to see and we saw in that game. I got to tell you a little something about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, Clippers winning their second straight game. This one against a good Orlando Magic team, 100-97. It was a gritty fourth quarter, but I'll tell you what, it was a gritty game by everyone. I think that the defensive intensity you're starting to see can be taken up a notch. Maybe they didn't fully run out of gas. And if that's the case, I don't know what they did. I don't know if they went to some rejuvenation center. If it's just that they're trying harder, that's very disappointing, because it tells me that they could have been this serious on that end the last couple of weeks. And we could have still been in the top 3 seed race, or race for the 1 seed. But if genuinely they feel a little more well-rested, I don't know how you feel more well-rested when you're playing every other day. I really don't know. But it is what it is. I'll take it. Or maybe it's just a wake-up call that we need to take the effort level a step further. Just got to give everything you got despite your old age. So we got it done. Went 9 deep, Plumlee, Westbrook, Amir, and Norm. But none of this is possible without the main man, our guy all season, the man who has exceeded the 65-game threshold for All-NBA honors, and he damn sure should be on an All-NBA team, even if it's third team, Kawhi Leonard. 67 games played, and I'm still knocking. I said last summer, it aged so badly, but I'm so happy. You can definitely see it on my face if you're watching on YouTube. I was like, can Kawhi show me that he can play 10 consecutive games again? Because right now it seems like it's impossible for him. 67 games. We're approaching 70-game territory as a Clipper. That's amazing. After quad tendinopathy, after torn meniscus, after torn ACL. It's truly remarkable. I don't know what he did. I don't know what the doctors did. I don't know if it's just he could have always been doing this. Or, I mean, he's coming off a torn meniscus. It's not like he's had a year with no injuries. He's coming off a torn meniscus. Maybe the quad tendinopathy thing has calmed down, but this tells me that Kawhi in 2021 and this season, he could have always played back-to-backs to me. We were so cautious with him. I don't get it. And listen, at times he looks gassed. But, this is the price. Winning, as Michael Jordan said, winning has a price. And Kawhi Leonard, I don't think Kawhi Leonard's like the type of guy that's super opposed to back-to-backs either. But, who knows what goes on behind the scenes. 67 games, though. And we're at game 73. We're so close. We're actually so close. I can't believe we've come this far, and we're that close to a potential. Kawhi Leonard finally plays in front of a sold-out Clipper playoff crowd. It is our dream. It's what we imagined the second we got him. It's what I imagined the second I saw that Woj bomb. I said, oh my God, playoffs sold out with that guy? Like we had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, but that guy? And I still have to think about imagining that 5 years later that we've had him. So, and what's one of the main things I said, Clipper Nation, over the last couple of episodes? Can we get the damn best player on our team shooting 20-plus shots? In the first half, this man legitimately had, I think, no more than 8 shots. And I was like, dude, are you being serious? Like, what are we doing? It was like we were playing so much Harden ball. In the first quarter, he had 4 shots. In the second quarter, he had 4 shots. So, yeah, he was 8 shots, right? 8 shots, and he was 5 for 8. But in the second half, we went with more Kawhi ball. Get the ball to Kawhi and get out of the way. What did I say about Kawhi Leonard ISOs? Is that he leads the league in points per possession for isolation among players that get a certain 2+ ISOs a game. So keep feeding our best player. And he was getting good shots, even against a good defense. Whether it means he gets a shot or he creates an open shot for somebody else with a double, he started to get aggressive, working in that mid-post, and towards the end of that third quarter, his 3-ball started coming back. And I remember there was one he just pulled up for with a hand in his face, and he had his legs fully behind him, and I was like, thinking to myself, maybe his legs were kind of fatigued the last couple of weeks because he had so much more pop on that. And I got to give a shout-out to Kawhi for something else. Second blow-by on a face-up behind the three-point line this season. That's the thing I've been watching. Me and my boy Adam Osland have been bantering about it back and forth. Blow-by watch with Harden and especially Kawhi. I've only gotten one face-up from the three-point line, top of the key this season. That was against Derrick Jones. He had another one against Paolo Banchero on a behind-the-back. So if we can see some shiftiness from Kawhi to get him downhill, that's very encouraging because he just doesn't get downhill enough. And in the playoffs, you're going to need your best player to get easy baskets that are not just contested middies, which are somewhat easy for him depending on how close he is, but we need some easier baskets. And he got to the line on that. So that was pretty big time. But the way he closed the game, that's vintage Kawhi. That's what we want. That's what we need. And, people are saying, oh, well, look at what Kawhi has to do to carry Paul George and James. And I'll talk about them in the final segment, but you need your best player to be great. You need him to shoot 20-plus shots. You need him to score 30 points. Like, that's what's required to win titles. I don't understand this excuse-making we do for star players. That's why people in the comments come at me because I'm so hard on the stars because they're getting paid $50 million. Do you guys understand how much that is? Like, let's think of how much $50 million would do for your life. They're not. Norman Powell's making under $20 million. Terrence Mann is making under $20 million per year. They make over double their salary, and that doesn't even go for endorsements and all the other stuff that comes with their stuff, with their careers. They are paid the big bucks to do these things. Stop giving these stars excuses and exit doors. Especially Kawhi, who is a champion, who averaged 30 in a playoff run, in a championship-winning playoff run, the highest level. Your favorite player couldn't do that, could they? Unless your favorite player is Kawhi or Jokic. There are very few guys in the league that can do that. So stop giving him an excuse. That's what we got Kawhi Leonard in the hopes that he's going to average 30 points in the playoffs. We did. And if you're wondering, oh, he needs to average 27 and we need other guys to step up. No, you need your best player to average near 30. Especially in this era of basketball. It's not the 2000s anymore where you're playing with 2-3 bigs that clog the paint. No, not 3. 2 bigs that potentially will clog the paint and schemes that are not geared for spacing. So don't give me these excuses. This is what we're going to need from him. And let me tell you, and the defense is just cherry on the sundae. I mean, that's what makes Kawhi excellent. 29 points, 11 boards. You know what I noticed about the last 2 games? 9 rebounds and 11 rebounds for Kawhi. He's averaging 10 rebounds in the last 2 games. Trench work. Getting down and dirty. That's what we're going to need from our 4-man, the only real 4 we have. He's not even a real 4, the only serviceable one. 29 points, 11 rebounds. How about 5 assists to lead our team, tied with Westbrook? 4 steals and 2 blocks for Kawhi. 6 stalks. Are you kidding me? 3 turnovers. That's the one thing you want to see him keep down. 12 for 21. 20-plus shots, and we won. Shocker? I think not. 3 for 6 from 3. That's big time. He's not been shooting well from 3. And then 2 free throws on that drive I talked about. 38 minutes. And he barely sat to start the 4th. Actually, I don't want to say barely, but he played the last 8 minutes of the game alongside Zoo, who, by the way, was exceptional. So I'm going to be talking about the rest of the team, but a specific focus on Paul George and James Harden coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class-exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada. That will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. I got to tell you a little something about Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire Stick, which I had all of college and still have now to watch NBA League Pass and various things on. It's got every app you can think of. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or college basketball or the NBA playoffs, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. And Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more. Keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right, Clippers winning this one 100-97. Let's talk about Paul George and James Harden. I'm going to start with Paul George. I don't think there was much wrong with his process. All his shots were jumpers, but they weren't besides the end, but they weren't all threes. A lot of them were just straight up, open 16-footers with Wendell Carter in drop coverage that he missed. Shots that he normally makes in his sleep that he missed. He only took one bad shot to me, and that was when he was guarded by Wendell Carter and he settled for a jump shot. Did we get enough mid-post, Paul? No, we didn't. But his defense was still very good throughout. The part that I was very nervous about with him, though, was the third quarter, because he was turning the ball over in addition to his missed shots. So, the thing about Paul is, if he's doing the right things, I don't think he's taking that many shots. He's not chucking himself out of games. It's okay. He's still going to play defense. He's still going to bring you spacing. He's still going to be a threat. If you recall those games that we didn't have Paul George, just not having him out there was very massive. So PG, for him to turn up in the fourth quarter like that, have 7 points. And it was funny. I was watching the game with my dad, and it started when PG had a wide open layup. And I looked at him and I was like, finally, he got something super easy. He's going to make his next shot. And lo and behold, there's nothing like confidence, ladies and gentlemen. He makes the right wing three like right after. And I learned this actually one time. I was playing a playoff game, and I was at the rec center, and I was like 11. And I was a top 3 player on my team. I had scored like 9 to 10 points average all season. And in the playoffs, the defense tightened up. Team was playing a zone, and I couldn't get my own shot because I was the point guard bringing the ball up. And I remember my uncle telling me, get to the line, just see one go in, and then things are going to start flowing for you. I made a free throw, and then I had 11 points in the span of like 10 minutes. So I've seen it my whole life at every level. Confidence is everything. Sometimes you just need to see the ball go in. Then the floodgates open. And that shot he made over Isaac, I couldn't believe he took Isaac one-on-one after Kawhi Leonard was the guy had made 2 buckets in a row. But this is why I always say about Paul George on that last shot of a game that I love him as our number 1 option for that. He can get a shot off over anyone. Like, when it comes to just getting clean looks off, that's very important. And Harden massively struggles with that. I'm going to talk about that. And Kawhi at times does as well. It feels like all his shots Kawhi shoots are contested, unless he's getting it off the catch. Paul George, sometimes he doesn't even see the contest because he's so tall. To shoot that shot and make it over Isaac was big. So, yeah, Paul George didn't have a very good game. We're going to need a lot better than 3 for 12 in the playoffs. I'm sorry, no, what was it? 4 for 14. But at least he still played defense the whole game on Paolo Banchero and the likes, and had 7 of his 12 in the fourth, and we won. But had we lost, he needs to do better. My thing is this. He was playing against a good defense and still generated clean looks. I, of course, would like more mid-post P, more closer catches to the basket. But I see other games where his process is completely flawed and he's just not paying attention elsewhere and playing like a bum. But this game, that wasn't one of those to me. And you might disagree. I know everyone likes to, crap on PG in the comments. Go ahead. But I don't really agree. Now, James Harden. This is where it's going to get brutal. He just really seems to struggle to create shots against good point of attack defenders, especially when there's a good drop big. So what every team is starting to figure out now with him is everyone knows his ISO package. Everybody knew his ISO package when he was in his prime, but it was so hard to stop because his first step was still so good. So when he's in that tween or that tween cross, that's how he starts out all his moves. Sometimes he'll hit the crossover, which he's not been hitting as much lately because I think it just requires a little more burst. Or he'll walk into that step back or pull back into that step back, or if he sees the defender is not reaching, they've been frozen, as he likes to lull them to sleep with all the dribbling, then he'll blow by. The thing is, when he's getting the step, he's not really getting it anymore, and the guys are right on his hip, and he doesn't elevate very well anymore. So a lot of times what you're starting to see is not only does he pass up that floater when he's going downhill, which I don't know why he does that, but now he doesn't create the separation, even turning the corner on the pick and roll that he used to. So he pushes off for that mid-range, which he neglected for like 7-8 years. And it's actually, he makes it at a decent frequency when he shoots it, but he just doesn't look for it enough. And it felt like, he made 2 shots in the first quarter. And that was the only quarter I thought he was good, besides the last minute of the fourth in the game besides the last minute of the fourth. But he had a 3 over Wagner with a hand in his face and a mid-range against Suggs that maybe was a foul. He tried to get the foul, but they were not clean looks. He only had 4 assists because every team knows the best thing to do with Harden now is to stay home on the shooters and make him play 2-on-2 in the pick and roll. That's the best thing. And if you have a good point of attack defender, he's not coming off the screens the way he used to. He's not coming off with just a 2-on-1 situation. He's really making me nervous. And I've been saying he needs to be more aggressive because our best version of Harden is when he's looking to score. Well, he was. And it was terrible. He airballed 3 times. He was not creating good looks. He was not. He was turning the ball over recklessly. He wasn't really playing defense. The amount of possessions that took 10 plus seconds off the clock. I mean, that is becoming so regular with him now. And it's like, why am I getting like angry and frustrated when this is who he's been his whole career? Like this is who he's been the last 8 years of his career. I'm telling you right now, and I don't give a damn what you Harden stands have to say in the comments. I am terrified. I am terrified about the likelihood of him in the playoffs having the ball so much and like not being effective outside of pick and rolls. He at least shot the 3 ball with less hesitancy in this game, but he's starting to miss open threes now. Like he passes up 1 or 2 threes per game and ends up allowing the defense to recover, and it's very frustrating. It's because you're gonna need to be on ball a little bit less when it comes down to the playoffs because this is Kawhi and Paul's team. And for all the people that were saying Harden was better than Paul in the season, This is exactly why I would never take him over Paul, because when Paul's actually not being ridiculous, and that could be the reason. In the regular season, James Harden, you probably get more out of his value than Paul George. Paul George leaves you with so much, like, you want so much more from him, whereas James, he maximizes his talent for the most part. But the thing that makes me nervous about Harden is I genuinely fear, because I've seen it in the playoffs. That's why he goes passive. Everyone's like, oh, he's not aggressive against Boston in Game 7. He can't get good shots off. He's not the type of guy that's going to take shots, like kind of like LeBron and Chris Paul. He's not going to like look to take shots out of his comfort zone. He has certain shots, he has certain spots, and he takes those shots. And when he's not getting those shots, he's not taking them. But not having a stop on a dime mid-range, not having a post game, not having a come off the screen and fall away to create separation like CP3 did going to his right his whole career, it really hurts his shot diversity. He has no diversity in his shot. It's not very versatile. It's either the step back three from behind the three-point line or a floater or layup. And now the occasional push off mid-range. He makes me very nervous. At one point, I wanted him to get out of the game so bad. I was like, put Russ back in, because even though Russ was a little erratic, he missed some layups, he was crashing the glass and he was getting assists going downhill. There was even one miss he had, right, where he goes downhill, goes into the player's chest, misses, and Plumlee followed it up. So not every miss is created equal. James Harden in this game, oh, by the way, let me mention Paul George. 12 points, which is nothing, but 7 in the fourth. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 4 for 14 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. So as I said, he did shoot 9 twos, 3 for 3 from the line in 35 minutes. He needs to be better, but I think he did the right basketball things, but he needs to be better. Zubac, by the way, was amazing. I'm surprised I haven't mentioned him more, but we actually started feeding him the ball a little bit when he had mismatches, and he's showing great fundamentals, keeping the ball up high and finishing, and his impact throughout the game was just awesome. Again, those people that came at me in the comments, this is why I listen to myself in my own eyes and don't trust you, because I don't know who you are and how much you know about basketball. For all I know, you could have a complete agenda. I'm a Clipper fan, but I'm telling you what I'm seeing. And what I'm saying is that Zubac has always had decent post game. And you know what's funny? Shout out to Zubac Season on Twitter. He said he posted a graphic that Zubac has the highest points per possession of any player in the league with post-ups now. So take that for data. I'm not saying he's the best post player in the league. Obviously, Jokic is. But the point is we should look at him more. In this game, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block on 7 for 10 shooting in 35 minutes. And you know what I love? Ty Lue closing with him, not just going small. Terrence Mann, though, hasn't been getting much burn closing. I thought he was okay in this game, but it's hard for me to say much about him when he doesn't play much. 5 points, 1 assist, 1 turnover on 2 for 4 shooting, made his only 3 in 20 minutes. Coffee played 19 minutes. He was better. 16 points, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 2 for 4 shooting, and 2 for 3 from deep. We turned the ball over too much in this game, 17 times to be exact, but so did they, and that's kind of what kept us in it. They shot 44% from the field and 34.5% from 3. But Harden, 11 points, 8 rebounds, or at least he rebounded, 4 assists, which is half his average, 4 steals, though, that's what I like, but 4 turnovers. Westbrook had 2 turnovers. Harden was 3 for 12 from the field and 1 for 7 from 3. 4 for 5 from the line. So again, I'm very nervous about Harden, but he did make big plays at the end to help us win. So I'm not going to say he had no impact on the win. Westbrook, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 5 dimes, and a steal. 2 turnovers on 2 for 6 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3. 1 for 2 from the foul line. Again, I like some of the stuff Russ did. But again, one of Russ or Harden, they both make me nervous in their own ways. Plumlee, I actually think until Mo Wagner started abusing him in the fourth, he actually was having a pretty decent game. Following up shots, finishing at the rim, actually showing some resistance at the rim for once. 8 points and 4 boards in 13 minutes on 4 for 6 shooting. I actually thought he was good in this game. Then Norm Powell, probably the most consistent player on this damn team after Kawhi. 10 points on 5 for 8 shooting in 26 minutes. Just got the job done. So overall, great win for the Clips. My takeaways are, though, we're going to start looking at Playoff Kawhi, 20-plus shots every game, guarding elite players, getting grittier. It starts on defense for us. I'm not very worried about Paul George, but he needs to be better. I'm very worried about James Harden, but we'll see what happens next. We're playing Charlotte next, and hopefully that's a game that Harden can abuse them and get some confidence back in his shot. But that's it for me in this one. Let me know what you think. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. including YouTube. Comment on the video. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to see your tears in the comments for all you stans that are going to not like what I said about your favorite player. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers. Not your favorite player. Go Clippers. Just kidding. Your favorite player's on my team, so go them too. But go Clippers to the death.